Intermix Radio, your music smoothie. Playing the best of your 80s and 90s music. WYMS.
That's right, you're checking out
Digital Radio, Palmetto, Georgia.
It's that time again. Tap in, tune in, join in with DJ Blend and Lady Blend. Live on Intermix Radio.
Listen, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Welcome. We are back.
We are back. No doubt about it.
Back.
How y'all doing out there?
Yeah, how's everyone doing?
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone's ready. Buckle up, sit back for our podcast.
That's right.
And remember, our format for the
Midweek smoothies
is the first hour from 7 to 8 is the podcast, the topic, and then from 8 to 9, you can call in your request or you can make your comments, both, or send your shout outs.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And we'll just give you the number right up at the top. That number is 305-898-0271.
Well, you know what? Why don't we just do it official? What's up, y'all? I am DJ Blend.
And I am Lady Blend.
And we are Intermix Radio. And this is your midweek smoothie. That's right, y'all. We're going to be right back, y'all. Hold on. Oh, yeah. We're back. Hey, Lady Blend, how you doing?
I am fair to middling again today.
Fair to mid again today?
Again today, but
oh, wow.
It's okay, though.
It's okay?
It's okay.
Okay, well, if you say it's okay, I say it's okay. Well, well, why don't you, let's give them the topic for those that, didn't see the messages go out.
Who didn't see the message. So the topic for today is emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, was emotional intelligence
yes.
or emotional, what was the word? Emotional quotient.
Your emotional quotient.
Quotient.
Not to be confused with IQ, which is your intelligence quotient.
Okay. All right. So what do we got on tap today with that?
So on tap today, we're going to talk a little bit about emotional intelligence. So just to preference that, emotional intelligence is basically your ability to use, to understand your own emotions and being able to also understand and communicate with other people and understand their emotions as well.
Right.
So when we say that, I know maybe a lot of people may think, they might be a bunch of hockey pock or whatever. So, but it's actually not, because when you're communicating with other people, believe it or not, you are somewhat responsible about how they receive that message. So if the message that they received is, say it's bad news.
Right.
For instance, say you went to the doctor and you had some bad news, but the doctor came in and said, look, you sick, you ill, you've been sick for a long time, you should have came in here earlier. Now, you know what? You only have a couple of days to live, so you just need to get your affairs in order.
Right. That's some news right there.
That's some serious news.
Oh, yeah.
Or the doctor could come into the room and say, listen, our prognosis doesn't look good. We understand and we see that maybe some of your systems in your body are failing, and we want you to consider calling in your family, blah, blah, blah. But that's a better way that you can take it. I'm still telling you that your time is not long,
right?
But it is how I communicated that message. So that's what emotional intelligence is.
Right.
It's not the message. It's how you communicate that message.
Right. Understood. Okay. Well, that's a lot of, especially if a doctor tells you that message, it's and how it's communicated. That
absolutely,
yeah.
You'd be like crying for days.
What, boy?
But once again, we are responsible. We do bear a responsibility in how people receive our message. Therefore, we have to try, or we should try to be empathetic when we are delivering a message and when we are communicating a message. So emotional intelligence is about that, about you being able to understand and manage your positive emotions, manage stress, communicate effectively, de-escalate issues,
Okay.
problem solving, and the ability to empathize with other people. So, of course, when we talk about empathy, we talk about you being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And so I would say this. I'm sure that everyone has probably come in contact with people who say, hey, I give it to them straight, no chaser. They take it the way they take it, and that's it. But I would bet that those same people, if you gave it back to them the way that they gave it to you, they wouldn't like it.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's what we talk about that's what we mean when we talk about empathizing. Empathize with other people. So if you wouldn't want other people to talk to you that way or to deliver a message to you that way, then you should think about not delivering your message to other people that way.
Okay, yeah, that's serious stuff right there.
That is very serious.
Yeah, I guess it's not what's said, it's how it's said.
It
right?
is. It's how it's said. It's
Yeah.
how you communicate your message. Now, you have psychologists and other personality people who they want to make a distinction between emotional intelligence and cognitive intelligence.
Right.
So, intelligence, of course, is related to your cognitive intelligence.
Okay.
You know, how your ability to understand something, and then we can also equate that to your IQ.
Okay.
Your IQ. But emotional intelligence measures how well you express yourself and how you cope with emotions. Cope. How you cope with emotions and how you respond. And how you respond to those emotions. So we talk about how you respond. So remember, one of the things that we always say is that you cannot control what other people say to you, but you can control your response.
Right.
So having emotional intelligence, you have to practice at it. So it's just not something that just comes naturally.
Right.
You have to practice at it. And so you have to practice processing the information that you receive. Give yourself a little bit of time.
Right.
If it's something that upset you, and I don't want to sound like Dr. Feelgood, but I'm just telling you.
But you will.
I'm just telling you that you need time to process information. It does not benefit anyone if you just fly off the handle every time someone says something to you.
What you said?
And you are just angry all the time. You have some people who are angry all the time.
Yeah, well, you know, those are people that we had part of that in one of the discussions or podcasts that we did, I think, last week, talking about either last week or the week before, we was talking about how people are just angry. They got that look on their face that they like something stinks, and you know,
something stinks all the time.
Yeah.
But because last week we were talking about self-improvement.
Right.
And so this can be an actual component of self-improvement, building and refining your emotional intelligence so that you can communicate more effectively with other people. And it's not just communicating with other people, it is also about you being able to put a label on your feelings. How many times have you said, I feel some kind of way about that, whatever that situation, whatever that thing that happened, I feel some kind of way, but you don't really have a label. Are you sad? Are you mad? Are you hurt?
Right,
Are you disappointed?
What is
that feeling that you have? So with emotional intelligence, you also learn to be aware of your feelings and learn to put labels on those feelings.
Right.
Because once you learn to put labels on those feelings,
right,
you are then able to communicate that feeling to that person who may have been the author of whatever that confusion or whatever that situation was.
Right. That makes sense.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's your word right there.
So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to give you some traits of emotional intelligence.
Sounds good to me.
We'll be back.
It's your favorite radio power couple, DJ Blend and Lady Blend.
Oh, here you go again. Here you go. Why you?
So we're back.
We're back, y'all.
We are back.
Definitely.
And remember, today we are talking about emotional intelligence. So where we left off, I was going to give you some traits of people who have high emotional intelligence or have that awareness. So
my name should be on that list.
It's not my name. It's not by name. It's not by name, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, but
so, ladies and gentlemen, we are so glad that you are listening. The topic today is emotional intelligence, and so you can call in your comments or you can text in your comments to 305-898-0271. We love to hear from you.
yes, we would. Yes, we would.
So to pick back up.
Pick back up.
Some
But wait,
traits.
before you pick that up,
Okay.
though. Before you pick that
Before
up,
I pick
though.
it up.
So when I said my name should be on that list of high emotional intelligence, and you said not your name.
No, I was saying there are not any names on the
Oh,
list.
there's not any
But
names.
so do you know the traits?
Like you were saying, you're gonna pick right back.
Okay. So
Okay,
the
go
first
ahead.
trait of high emotional intelligence is self-awareness, to know your own strengths and your own weaknesses, and the ability to be able to identify your emotions. Knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, just being aware of your emotions and being able to express and identify them. Another trait is the ability to regulate a full range of emotions.
Oh, okay.
So, are you sad? Are you happy? Are you mad? Sometimes all those things come up at the same time.
Okay.
They can be fleeting at times.
They can't fleeting.
And so fleeting,
Fleeting.
very fleeting at times.
Yeah.
So depending on the circumstances or the situation, so you have to be able to regulate those emotions. Another trait is the motivation to pursue goals without allowing negative self-talk to hinder your progress. So this goes back to our self-improvement when we talked about self-improvement, to
Okay.
not allow negative talk to hinder you.
Right.
In the same way, you can motivate yourself to pursue your goals and not allow negative talk to hinder you.
Okay.
Now, this is a big one. This next one is a big
It's
one.
a big one.
And I know that there are so many people who cannot do this, who refuse, who just will not
Will
do
not
this.
do what? Do what? Come on, you got me. I should have had a drum roll
Shit.
in there.
Uh-oh, we have a call.
Okay.
Hello, caller.
Hey, how you doing, Lady Blend?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Awesome. Enjoying the podcast tonight, and that's an awesome subject you guys are on, emotional intelligence. I just
Thank
want to
you.
throw my little 2 cents in on that if I could.
Sure.
Sure.
Hey, I know
Well-
who that is.
What's up, DJ Blend?
What's happening, man? Big Doc on campus.
My favorite podcasters. Yeah, man. I just want to throw my 2 cents in. I agree totally with you guys are saying. People need to learn that there is a such thing as emotional intelligence, and that you are responsible not only for what you say, but also for how people feel what you say. Because sometimes we run off the mouth and we don't care what we say. We hurt people, man. Remember back in the day when our parents told sticks and stones would hurt our bones, but words never hurt us. That was something just to get us through all that people picking on us. But it wasn't the truth, man. Words
That's true.
hurt.
Words
you
do
can say
hurt.
something. You can say something and it'll affect the person. It'll affect it for the rest of their life. You can't, once you say it, you can't get it back.
That's
so
right.
you are responsible, man, for what you say to people. And you just have to, again, like Lady Blend was saying, you got to understand how you say things, and you're responsible. And there's so many things I want to say about this, man, because I'm dealing with it myself, man. Over the past years, 62 years of life, everything has not always gone my way. People have said things, and I've said some things. I've flown up the handle and said things, and to this day, it still hurts, man. And you go back and you apologize. People may forgive you, but they never forget. And once the trust or the relationship is broken, it's kind of hard to put it back together. So emotional intelligence is something that we really need to talk about in our community, especially with all of the mental illness running rapid in the Black community, man. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate the call. I appreciate the call. I mean, you guys accepting the call and the podcast and talking about this serious things. Hopefully, people will call in so we can have a discussion on it. It's about time. Thank you, guys.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for your comment.
All right, you guys have a great night. Play some good music.
Too.
Play some good music.
will.
I got a request too, man. I want to hear Al Green. Let's stay together. I know I said some messed up things, but don't leave me. Let's stay together, baby.
we gonna get you. We got you in the next hour. Your song gonna be the first song.
That's right.
All right, love you guys. Y'all
Love
take
you
care
too.
now. Bye
All
bye.
right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Yes,
Now,
indeed.
Now, see, the caller, Doc, he made a great point that we say things. Once it's out there in the stratosphere, you can't get it back.
Right.
You can apologize
Right.
all day. You can apologize, but words do hurt.
Right. That's the old adage. It's like a bullet. Once you let go, you
Once
can't
it
take
leaves
it
that
back.
barrel,
That's right. Once it leaves your mouth, people have, I think it's 2 or maybe 3 options. When you say something that hurts, you can apologize. They can accept it, or they can accept and forgive you, or they can just decide not to accept it and or not forgive you for what's said. So,
that's true.
it's rough, man.
It is rough, but
Yeah.
the bottom line, and you're right too. The caller was saying that sometimes those things affect people for the rest of their lives, and that is absolutely positively true.
Yeah.
We have to use emotional intelligence. We use emotional intelligence with our family, with our friends, with our kids, and we have to just realize that, again, as the caller said, once those words leave your mouth, they're gone, and you may have scarred some people forever. And I know I'm not really digressing, but just to kind of expound on that, because sometimes you have parents who say things about their kids like, you'll never be anything, you're gonna be just like your dad or just like your mama, nothing.
Right.
You just not,
Oh, that hurts.
whatever. That hurts.
Yeah.
And that can scar children for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
For the rest of their lives.
And it also depends on where that child is emotionally with self-esteem.
Exactly.
Because that
It
can
can
be said
ruin
to
it.
someone, that could ruin them, but then it could be said to someone who takes it in the reverse and says, I'm not going to be that way, so they fight harder to be the opposite.
Yes.
Well, that's another topic.
That is another topic, because we also know that we are products of our environment. So your environment has a lot to do with how you're able to recover.
Oh, man. Then I should have been messed up.
I'm sure you and a lot of people it should have been messed up, but some people are more resilient than others.
Yeah.
So that's what it kind of boils down to.
Yeah.
And I do have a comment here that says that, basically they're agreeing with the last caller. Like, amen, I agree with the last caller.
Hey, and if you call in, you can say your name,
If
where
you
you're
would
calling
like.
from, if you'd like, where you're calling from, and then state your comment, But this way, we can make sure that we get that, so we know who, not just saying caller.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you say who you are, then that's fine. If you don't want to say who you are, that's fine too.
Yeah, that's fine as well. We
Either
just
way.
want to let you know you have the option.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what I was saying was, this was a biggie. This is a biggie. We're talking about traits. We're talking about traits of emotional intelligence. This one, the ability to let go of mistakes and grudges.
Oh boy. Boom! I should have had a sound effects for that.
That should be a boom.
Yeah,
That should definitely be
man.
a boom, because I know, I'm pretty sure some of you out there listening know of people who will hold a grudge until they go to the grave.
Man.
They'll hold it until they go to the grave. You made one mistake, and they're going to remind you about that mistake forever and 100 days.
Oh,
They're
man.
never going to forgive you, and they will continue to hold a grudge.
Man.
But I wanted to say this one thing about holding grudges and about continuously reminding people of things that they've done in the past. Grudges, when you hold a grudge against a person, you are actually affecting yourself.
Yeah.
Because probably more than you're
Yeah.
affecting that person, because they probably have forgotten about it and don't really even care.
Yeah.
But that's just like when you decide that you're not going to speak to a person, that you're just done with the person. If you see that person, you come in contact with that person, guess what? You are the one who has to think about, oh yeah, let me remember. I have a grudge against that person. I don't like that person, or whatever that situation may be, or they made that mistake, or they said that. They know what they did. But let me give you a clue. A lot of times people don't know what they did.
Right.
They don't know.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times people who say they know what they did, they refuse to even say it.
Right.
They refuse to tell them what they did.
Right.
So now you go on with this whole thing, and sometimes maybe if you're lucky later on, you find out or it's revealed, and you say, wow, I thought you knew all this time what you did. So that's just a misunderstanding. So when we're talking about communication and being able to communicate our feelings, we have to learn how to forgive people.
Yeah.
And move on.
Yeah.
We have to learn
Yeah.
how to forgive
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
forgiveness,
Yeah.
remember, is more about you than it is about that other person.
Yeah.
Okay, another trait is a curiosity about other people's feelings. Curious about other people's feelings. You cannot go through life not caring how other people feel. You can't go through life. You can do it, but you're going to have a miserable life. You're going to have a miserable life.
Oh man, that's true.
Another trait, empathy and understanding others' emotions and feelings. We should at least make an attempt. We should make an attempt. Before we say that thing to that person, how about take a pause? Take a pause. Just take a pause.
Right.
And it's not always possible. I know sometimes situations and circumstances arise where we just respond immediately.
Right.
We respond immediately and we don't think about what we're saying. But there are other times when we do have an opportunity to take a pause and think about it first and then say it. And a lot of times if you take a pause and think about it, you'll realize that you probably not as upset as you thought that you were when you first heard it. Maybe what you thought you heard was not what you really heard, or you didn't receive it the way that it was intended.
Right.
But not always, but sometimes that is the case.
Yeah.
And another thing another trait is effective communication skills. So we all need to learn how to communicate effectively.
Okay.
So effective communication requires you to listen to the other person. To listen.
Did you hear what I said?
To listen to the other person. It requires you to listen to the other person. You have some people who will cut you off mid-sentence and start responding to what you said, and they don't have a clue about how you're going to finish that sentence. And a lot of times the end in their response
Right.
is not even appropriate to what you were going to say.
Right. Right.
So
right.
we have to learn how to actually listen. You can hear a person, but we have to learn how to actually listen to people. And I know this is going to sound cheesy, but it is actually one of those things that you're taught in communication to signify that you are actually listening to that person. And that is when a person makes a statement or says something to you, it also this also gives you an opportunity to take a pause as well. Repeat what that person said to you, but from your own words.
In your own perspective.
In your
of what
own words,
right.
repeat what that person said to you without changing what that person said.
Okay. Kind of like, so what I heard you say.
Yes. So what I thought I heard you say was ABC 1, 2, 3. Is that correct?
It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Oh, baby.
Do, re, mi. Okay, so he don't know the words. All right. So that is something that we can practice doing.
Right.
Is, not all the time. Like I said, it may sound cheesy, but it also gives you an opportunity to think about what that person said and to ensure that you are responding appropriately.
Right. Right. Okay.
Appropriate. Again, you may not have an opportunity to do it all the time, but if you're having a conversation with a person, you probably do have a chance.
That's right.
To actually do that.
That's right. So we're going to take a pause right here.
For the calls.
Yep, that's right. So we'll be right back.
Right back.
Time to pay some bills. We will be right back with more of your favorite 80s and 90s music here on Intermix Radio.
Yeah. You know we don't like to stay away too long.
Not too long.
That's right. It's your boy DJ Blend.
And Lady Blend.
That's right, y'all. So, Lady Blend, I mean, you had that big one. When you said that big one, I mean, I should have had this ready. The big one.
The big one.
The big one.
Ability to let go of mistakes and grudges. The ability to let go of mistakes and grudges. I just think that's a big one because, like I said, those things, holding on to things like that, they actually hurt you more. They probably bring your stress level up, your blood pressure up, and everything else because you have to concentrate on that grudge.
Yep, you do.
have to keep reminding yourself about that grudge.
That's right.
So it's not good for you. There was another one too that I left out: the ability to manage relationships and respond appropriately to conflict. That should have been a drum roll too.
Oh well, you see, I mean, I'm trying
it's
to keep.
okay. It's okay, and to respond appropriately to conflict.
Yeah.
Managing relationships, and we all have to manage relationships because we all have relationships. Remember, anything with a ship at the end
means it's sailing.
Anything with a ship at the end means it involves more than one person. A relationship, a friendship, all of those things. A partnership involves more than one person. So we have to learn how to manage all of our ships. And the other big thing too is managing conflict. I always I say to DJ Blend, my husband, that one of the things that I recognize about young people today and about some not so young people today is they don't know how to handle conflict.
No form of conflict resolution.
Conflict resolution, and unfortunately is not taught in schools, and I think that should be a class. I think there should be a conflict resolution class in schools.
Well, but it's taught at home too. It's
not taught at home.
No, it starts at home. Everything starts at home.
Everything should start at home. So I'm going to have to say that's another one of those. I wouldn't say it's a fallacy. I would say that yes, in the beginning, as Doc was saying, we had that old adage, sticks and stones will break our bones, words never hit us. That was a way for us to try not to engage in unnecessary conflict.
Right.
To try not to engage in necessary conflict. To sometimes you just have to let things go. And you don't have to respond to every single thing.
Right.
You don't have to respond to everything. Sometimes you can just let it go.
Yeah,
just let it
that's
go.
true. That's
true. Having conflict resolution being taught in schools would be a great thing because these days, they don't even fight anymore. It's, I'm going to shoot you, you shoot me back, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to shoot you back. And that's the first, it seems that's the first thing that people do. They don't even fist fight anymore. It's just about how can I inflict the most harm to you no matter what. You diss me, and I'll say this because I was a mentor at one of the high schools here in Atlanta, and when we would go over to the high school and classes, one of the things that they would always say, the young people would say, is they diss me.
Yeah.
They keep dissing me. They can't diss me like that. And I said, so diss you. They disrespected me.
Right.
That's what they did. They disrespected me. So since they disrespected you, you felt that you had to respond in kind and over and above, that this had to be a fight some kind of way because they disrespected me. So like I said, sometimes you have to learn how to let things go and practice some conflict resolution because it can be helpful in your life. Yeah. Okay, I got another amen. I did.
Yeah.
I got another amen.
Amen.
So, again, we love to hear from you, hear your comments. That number is 305-898-0271. You can call in or you can text in your comments.
Ooh, Lady Blend.
That'd be me. So one of the other things that we're going to talk about is how can emotional intelligence be used?
Well, I mean, you pointed out some of the things. Learning how to walk away when not need. It's like picking your battles. That's emotional, part of emotional
Absolutely.
intelligence.
Absolutely. Recognizing the feelings that you're having at the moment, whenever that situation or circumstance arises, and being able to label your feelings. That, ladies and gentlemen, that is very important, to be able to label your feelings. If you're disappointed with that person, you have defined that feeling, you have labeled that feeling. Now you're able to better communicate with that person who has disappointed you,
So
who
the-
has hurt your
So,
feelings.
so when you say label that feeling, are you saying let them know what the feeling is, giving it a name of what you're feeling?
Yeah, so you're giving it a name. So which that is self-awareness.
Okay.
So that is you having some self-awareness about your own feelings.
I'm disappointed my name wasn't on that list.
So how is emotional intelligence used? Parents, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Parents can use emotional intelligence with their children. That parent-child relationship involves you learning about your child, learning their communication style, because believe it or not, learning a person's communication style is important. If you're in a relationship with that person, no matter what that is, you have to learn that person's communication style. That's important.
Right.
So that you'll know how can I bring up those conversations with my children? How can I bring those conversations up with my children?
Right.
So learning their communication style is very important. Now, another way that emotional intelligence can be used is with friendships and other relationships. So just as you learn the communication style of your children, if you're in a friendship with someone, learning how to communicate and knowing the significant roles that you play in that relationship is also very important. And that's with friendships or romantic relationships. They require you to find the best way to communicate. So husbands and wives, learn how to communicate. And we say this all the time, that communication is the key. Communication is the key. And communication is the key, but we have to learn how to communicate with one another.
What you talking about?
We have another comment. And the comment is, management of a friendship or relationship is hard. And when you recognize that this friendship or relationship is not for you, you can distance yourself. But the other person doesn't want to let go. And that's the situation.
Yeah.
A lot of times they know they messed up, so it's hard for you to walk away because you know and they know.
You know and they know.
You know and they know. A lot of times they know they messed up, so it's hard for you to walk away because you know that they know they messed up and all you are doing is playing it cool. So thank you for the comment. So to that I'll say that comes into play when we talked about having the ability to let go of mistakes and grudges. I'm not saying or even suggesting that you should stay in the relationship. I think there are some relationships that are actually broken, and some relationships you do have to just let go.
Yeah.
You do have to let go. But you're letting that relationship go for your sake, realizing that this is just not the relationship that you should be in. So sometimes you do have to walk away.
Yeah.
And the person probably does know that they messed up and they want to continue the relationship, but a lot of times those relationships end up being toxic. So if you feel that you're in a relationship and you know that relationship should be coming to an end, that it's over, it's just toxic no matter which way you look at it, then it probably is time to end that relationship. And because you may have been in a relationship with that person for a while, or you actually like that person when they're not being that other kind of way, it sometimes can be difficult for you to walk away. But you have to have the ability to know when what the country say. Know when to hold them, know
And
when to
fold
fold
'em.
them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. And sometimes you have to run from some relationships. You have to run from them, from some relationships with some people, because people are not going to change they don't change their personality.
Right.
They don't really change their personality as of who they are on the inside. They can change their actions. We can always be better than what we have been all the time. We can always be better. We can
Right.
work on ourselves.
Right.
But when you realize that the relationship is going nowhere, when you realize that, then you have to have the ability to know when to let it go.
And what's that statement again? Know when to what?
Know when to hold them, know when to fold, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You gotta know, ladies and gentlemen, you have to know when to run.
That's right.
Absolutely. Know when to run.
Yep. So, where you at? You good? You want to continue, or you want to 7:39 right now? You want to take?
It's 7:39. We can take a little break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
With a little bit more information, like I said. We appreciate all the comments and the call in. So if you have any comments that you would like to express, you can call them in or you can text them to 305-898-0271. We'll be back.
It's DJ Blend and Lady Blend, bringing you the best of the 80s, 90s, and more.
Oh yeah.
Big
You know we don't.
back.
Yeah, you know we don't let those things go for long. You know we trying to make sure that Lady Blend gets in the words, the verbiage, and shares the knowledge of what she's trying to, pass to you, so to speak. So, go on,
My
Lady
favorite
Blend.
word. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So you may be asking yourself, can I learn to be more emotionally intelligent?
Yeah. I think so. Lady Blend, can I be more emotionally intelligent?
Absolutely. You can be more emotionally intelligent. Remember, emotional intelligence is one of those things one of those components of self-improvement. So you can there's always room for improvement, always room to improve yourself. So you can learn, yes, you can learn to be more emotionally intelligent. And how you do that is what I've been saying kind of like over and over. So, when we repeat things,
Right.
we really want you to understand and to hear them.
Right.
So, start by identifying your own emotions.
Right.
Being able to identify your emotions, and like I said, by putting a label on them. So if you better understand yourself and your feelings, then you can better understand and regulate those emotions.
Right.
And you can better regulate those emotions. You can stop, think before you act or judge.
Okay.
Stop and think before you act or judge.
Judge.
Yeah, because
Judge.
we'll judge people.
Guilty.
We'll judge people in a minute, and we may not intentionally be doing that, but think that we're doing that. But when you start to form opinions about people and you don't really know them or you don't know the situation or the circumstance, you're
Right.
judging.
You judge him.
You're judging.
Yeah.
You're judging. So in both friendship and romantic relationships, higher emotional intelligence can help you to actively listen to others.
Actively listen
Yes.
to.
Remain calm under pressure.
I like that. Actively listen to others. That's a mix. Actively.
Better understand your own feelings
She just cut me
in a
off.
given situation and be less reactive. So being less reactive is something that we can all do. Being less reactive
Well,
to
yeah.
things. So we want to be less reactive and be more proactive. So in any given situation or whatever is going on, whatever those circumstances are, we have to learn not to judge the other person. Try to listen to what they're saying. Try to be empathetic to what they're saying. And then once you do all of that, stop, do a little bit more thinking, and then respond.
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but in some points, it's hard to be proactive when, one, you don't know how the other person's going to react, and two, you don't know what they're going to say. So it's hard to be
At
proactive.
no given time.
Right.
It is. No, when I say proactive, I'm talking about, remember we talk about only controlling those things that we can control. We can control ourselves.
Right.
So in terms of being proactive in a situation like that is understanding, listening to what the other person is saying, understand how that's making you feel before you respond.
Okay.
Before you respond. So that's what we're talking about in terms of being proactive.
Okay.
Being proactive.
Okay, I get it. I was missing the point. Well, I wasn't missing the point, but when you said proactive, I was like, that's kind of hard to be proactive when you depending on what someone says, you could be trying to be proactive, thinking, hey, let me hear, and then they just say so. You're hearing what they're saying, you're trying to digest it and think about how, when they're finished hearing what they're saying, you want to give a proper response, and then they just say something that just off kilter in the middle of it.
Yes, but remember now, we cannot control what other people say or what other people do. So we can only control ourselves. So we have to control the controllable.
Yeah, control the controllables.
Control the controllables, and that is you.
Yep. I heard that from a mentor of mine told me. Control the controllables.
Absolutely.
Everything else, you just, it's how you respond to it.
That you're absolutely correct. It is how you respond. And even though people will say all the time, I think that emotional intelligence, a large part of it is learning how to better communicate yourself, communicate what you're saying to other people, and to better communicate in terms of actively listening to what the other person is saying before you respond, and trying not to get defensive. Because sometimes, like I said, we said earlier that I'm sure that everyone has probably met someone before you can get half of what you're saying out of your mouth, they've already jumped the gun on the defense.
No, because that's not. You're not.
They already jumped the gun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
They've already jumped the gun. They didn't even hear everything that you said,
Yeah.
and they've already jumped on the defense because they are expecting or anticipating that you're going to say something negative that's going to tick them off or set them off or push their button. So, again, these are things that you can do to improve yourself. This is something you can do to improve yourself, to improve your emotional intelligence, to improve how you interact and how you communicate with other people.
Right.
And again, I can't stress this enough to say, being aware of what you're feeling and being able to label those feelings.
And then communicate that
And
properly.
then being able to communicate that properly to whoever it is. It could be how you communicate that to your husband, how you communicate to your wife, how you communicate with your best friend, your friend circle. It doesn't matter. But just being able to communicate those feelings effectively, I would say. Effectively. Now, emotional intelligence can also be used in the workplace. So when you have supervisors and managers, they may not at all times have a high sense of emotional intelligence, because you're having to deal with so many, especially if you have a manager who is responsible for several employees. So you have to have, or you should have, a high emotional intelligence, because everyone is not the same. Everyone's not the same. So you have to try to be in tune with what people need from you as a manager. And you have to be sensitive to other people. You have to be sensitive to other people in order to be a good leader. And I'm not saying, well, baby, da 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 da. No. I'm saying you have to be, as an effective manager,
Right.
You have to be sensitive to your employees.
Right, but still deliver.
But still deliver the messages you need to
Right,
deliver, but
right.
you have to be sensitive.
Firm sensitivity.
Yes. Okay, so we just made that up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's true.
but it's true.
Yeah.
Firm sensitivity, absolutely. I agree, because you still have to deliver the message. The work still has to be done. You still have expectations, and you should be able to communicate those expectations in a way where everyone understands what you're saying and they know where you're going.
Right,
They know where you're going.
right, right.
Now, it is about 10 minutes till.
Yeah.
We're going to take another little break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about establishing healthy boundaries. And our last part of that is going to be, what are the negative impacts of
Okay.
not building emotional intelligence?
Ooh, DJ Blend.
Ooh, Lady Blend.
Time to pay some bills. We will be right back with more of your favorite 80s and 90s music here on Intermix Radio.
Oh, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back.
That's right. We're back.
We're back, and remember, we're talking about emotional intelligence this evening.
Oh,
Emotional
as a quotient.
intelligence. Emotional intelligence, or emotional quotient, EQ. Again, not to be confused with IQ.
With IQ.
With
Okay.
IQ. So
Okay.
we're talking about emotional intelligence, and I do have a response from a listener. The response is, the coworkers are the worst. Some of them don't understand that they are there to do a job. I
That's true.
agree.
That's
I
true.
agree. We
That's
do have
definitely
some
true.
people.
That's
I
definitely
have some
true.
people who I've worked with that don't understand that they're there to do a job. And again, it is how you relate, how your managers, how your supervisors, how your people relate to those people who don't understand that they're there to do a job.
Yeah, yeah, that's
so
true.
that is
That's true.
definitely a skill that our managers and supervisors should develop
Yeah,
that they don't have.
yeah, I agree with you on that.
So now we're going to talk about establishing healthy boundaries with emotional. Now, boundaries, of course, are applicable whether or not you're in an interpersonal relationship or whether you're in a professional relationship. And this is a biggie.
Wait, it's a biggie?
This is a biggie. This is a biggie.
It's a biggie.
One thing people have a problem with.
Wait a minute.
Ooh, Lady Blend.
Is saying no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that
People
is
have
a
a
biggie.
problem with saying no. No, those two letters are very powerful.
Yeah,
They're very powerful.
Yeah.
Just say no.
yeah, you know.
Say no, because you cannot be everything to all people. You cannot do everything all the time for all people. Sometimes you have to say no, which means that you have to learn how to establish and set those healthy boundaries.
Right.
That no is very powerful.
You know, I have to admit, it took me some years, and I mean years, to fully understand the power of no. You know, I would sometimes in my earlier years get frustrated and then say no, and let the frustration be that or the kickoff to me saying no. you know,
Right.
instead of just understanding that no is no, I can't do it or won't do it for whatever the circumstances are. And it took me years, into my 30s, be honest with you, into my 30s,
Like I said, no is they're a powerful two-letter word. There's power in being able to say no.
Well, see, now that I understand.
No,
I got
don't get carried away.
I
but there is power in being able to say no, and being able to say no, that also helps you to set those healthy boundaries.
Right.
You have to be able to set those boundaries.
Yeah.
And communicate, to be able to communicate effectively.
Yeah.
This can help your personal relationships. It can help your professional relationships to be able to set boundaries.
Right.
Being able to set it could just be a boundary in your workplace. Listen, I am not on call 24/7. So unless it's an emergency, don't call me.
You don't work in IT. See,
Don't
that's
call
the
me for
problem.
work. But I said
Right.
I'm not on call. You do have some positions, some jobs, some that are some careers that people are on call. all the time. So that's expected. But even they get to have some breaks sometimes.
Right. They're still
Or
able to say no.
It could be a situation where you're at work, and we've talked about this at my job. We've talked about it. There's a project, you're working on it, you're doing something, and then your supervisor comes with another project. And so communicating effectively is very important. You should be asking your supervisor or your manager, is this something you want me to take care of now?
Right.
What is the deadline? You should be having some questions, because if you already have a full plate, sometimes it's perceived that once you get that next thing, that's also something that's a fire that needs to be put out. But many times it's not.
It's not.
Many times it's not a fire that needs to be put out.
Right.
So ask those questions, communicate those questions to your supervisor and your manager. And remember, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Ask the question, hey, sir, ma'am, I'm working on this, and this, and I know that you just gave me this, so is there a deadline on this one? Do you want me to put everything aside and work on this?
Right.
Or something? And then many times what you will find is, oh, no, I don't need that for another 3 weeks.
Right. Right.
But you won't know that unless you ask that question.
And there's some people we know that gave us something that simply says, ask the question.
It says just ask.
Yep. It says just ask.
It says
That's right.
just ask.
Just
and
ask.
that's powerful in itself too. Just
Yep.
ask.
Just ask.
Because you'll never know unless you ask. You can't assume that the answer is no. You can't assume that it's no, but you'll
Right.
never know until you ask.
That's
So
right.
remember, establishing those healthy boundaries, learning the power of saying no.
Yeah.
And that's a way for you to communicate your emotions, your thoughts, and everything. Now, there are some negative impacts. There are some negative impacts of not developing your emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Depression.
It can actually affect your quality of life.
Oh yeah.
Because once again, if you are that person, or those people who they don't care what they say, how they say, when they say it, they don't care if they hurt your feelings or nothing. Usually that person, no one wants to be around.
Right.
No one wants to be bothered. They
Right.
find themselves being isolated and wondering how come no one wants to talk. How come I didn't get invited to the party?
Well,
How
because
come I didn't get caught?
don't
Because
nobody
no
like
one,
your
yeah, because no one really likes you. They don't want to be around you.
Yeah.
And even though, again, you have people who say, I'm just brutally honest, I just tell the truth, I just da-da-da. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it, how you communicate it. So please remember that. So some signs of low emotional intelligence, poor social skills. And I regard that as being poor social skills.
Yeah.
Those are just poor social skills. You're not listening to other people. You lack awareness. You're argumentative all the time. You react impulsively all the time. And those are just traits that people don't want to be around.
Right.
That makes them not want to be around you at all. So if you find yourself in one of these categories, I would say try to build some emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Build on some of your emotional intelligence. You can learn from emotional intelligence
Yes, you
to be
can.
better at it.
That's right.
So we just talked about today. We have about 2 minutes left
For this first hour.
for this first hour.
Right.
Again, our format is the first hour is we talk about what I hope to you guys is a very interesting subject. It's interesting to me. And the second hour is you can call in your requests. We're going to play you some music and you can do your shout outs. But just to recap, emotional intelligence is being aware of your emotions, having the ability to label your emotions, the ability to communicate effectively to other people, and to be able to empathize with other people during your communication.
Yep.
So hopefully you got something out of this part one.
Part one. That's right.
Part one of our show today.
That's right.
Emotional intelligence. Go look it up. Remember, I do my research. I always do that. So go look it up. I'm pretty sure you can find some additional information about emotional intelligence and about how to build up your emotional intelligence, and because it is used in every aspect of your lives.
Right.
Every aspect of your lives. Remember, I'm going to leave you with one last word. Remember the power of saying no.